Hey everybody, this is Greg Christensen at Grandview Grain and Livestock. I'm coming to you from my office today. Well, this isn't really my office, this is my kitchen, but I do my office work out here. I have an office, I just don't like it very well. I like the kitchen. I can see outside, see what's going on. It's really muddy out there and drizzly, and so I just decided to come inside and work on some paperwork and spreadsheets. Travis is out there fighting the mud and feeding. I was telling the guy that I didn't think I was really very good at doing these videos, and he said, well, I'm not surprised. And I said, why is that? He said, well, because you don't like talking about yourself, and you don't like just pumping yourself up or bragging on what you're doing, and that's kind of what you have to do on YouTube to get a lot of people watching and things, and maybe that's the case. So maybe today I'll try not to brag on myself, but I do want to show you something I think will help you. Some of you already have it. This is a book that I wrote back in 2012. 2012, we were having a terrible drought. Everything's burned up. Corn was burning up. Soybeans were burning up. And to occupy my time, I guess. Anyway, some guy said, hey, you ought to write a book about raising goats. And so I have this. And some of you already have it. I just wanted to show you a few of the things that you might find interesting and helpful in here. Now, I hope to be redoing this book, but it'll be a while. It's a pretty big undertaking. I wanted to make more pictures and more illustrations. But I'll go to the table of contents here, tell you a few of the things that are in here. About parasites, kidding, some tips on kidding and things you have to do. Now, this book I wrote because when I was looking to try to figure out how to run goats, I wanted to run them like cattle. And I looked all over, and I could find a few goats here and a few goats there, 20, 30 head, 50 head was a lot of goats. And they were putting them in a small pasture, and they were in a barn, and they were putting them in pens to kid them, and that's not how I wanted to do it. I didn't really know that's how everybody did it when I started. Well, so I started doing it, and I found out it was kind of unusual, and that's why I couldn't find anybody that was doing it to go and see their operation. And so there's probably a reason that people didn't raise goats or don't raise goats that way. It's sometimes can be a little nerve-wracking, and it can be a little frustrating, but I kept at it, and most people might have quit or went out of business or just threw their hands up after a few years. And maybe a smarter individual would have, but I kept doing it. And so this book tells a lot of things that I learned along the way, and that it doesn't paint such a rosy picture of the goat business, I guess you might say, but it's a real life picture if you want to raise goats with having a few more than just in your backyard. So this also tells about my working facilities, what kind of facilities I've got, and I need to update that. You've seen some videos on my facilities I have now, but you can see what we started with, and predator control, how to keep them alive. I always said you can make money on goats if you can do two things: keep them in and keep them alive. That's all you got to do. The market's there, the market's good. You can keep them in because your neighbor's going to get mad at you if you don't keep them in. Then you won't have goats very long. If you keep them alive, because a dead goat doesn't bring very much money. So the fencing part is in that, keeping them in, and that talks about the single wire, hot wire fence we put around the perimeter of our goat pastures. Talks about co-grazing goats with cattle, a few things I found out, a few things I've learned there. Feeding the breeding herd through the winter. Just like your cattle, they may need some extra nutrition when it gets closer to calving or kidding season. Then feeding the kids from weaning to market is another chapter there. Because I found after a while, I realized that you can't just, the kids just won't grow and bring good money unless you put some feed into them, get some finish on them, get them looking a little bit better than just right off their moms. Now, you'll have your first year or two in the goat business will go pretty good, but the more parasites you start getting on your property, they're just not going to grow as well, and you're going to find that out. And so you're going to want to be feeding those goats to get them ready for market. Another chapter here is where do you sell your market goats? And I finish up with enjoying the challenge, because it is a challenge and you got to enjoy it. Otherwise you're going to give up, you're going to quit. It's not all fun. So maybe here while you're maybe you're inside this COVID-19, you know, we're not supposed to travel around as much. Maybe it's wet, it's muddy outside. This might give you something that you can flip through, you can read it. You know, I've had a lot of people just tell me it's real easy to read. I wrote it because a lot of guys in ag don't read a lot. It's not a very thick book. As you can see, it's easy to read, but I really think it'll help you. It'll help you maybe get started, get motivated. Because some days, you know, if you can just do one thing, that's when I started. I thought, man, if I can just do one thing, I can go to one website, maybe read about it. I can work on my cash flow. I can work on fencing. If you can do one thing, maybe that one thing is order this book, or if you already have it, sit down and reread it. You can get this book on my website, and it's $23.49. I tacked a little bit on there for shipping. But I tell you what, if you're watching this and you go to my website, you know what, it's kind of difficult for me to change that PayPal, but you can write me a check and send it to me for $15. And you say, you know, I watched it on your website. I'll send you this book that includes shipping and everything. You can go to Amazon, you can get this book. I think it's around $20 on there, and maybe your Amazon Prime, so you don't have to pay the shipping. But I really think it'll help you. I've had a lot of people say that it helped them. If you're thinking about getting goats or sheep, you know, it doesn't talk a lot about sheep. My new book will talk more about sheep, as we got into sheep about 4 years ago. Same principles, guys. Same things. Sheep are a little easier on some regards. Same fencing, same vaccination program that I use. It's pretty much the same. So, you know, if you're interested, pick this book up. You go to my website, grandviewlivestock.com, and you can, if you want to go to PayPal and pay it on PayPal, it'll be $23.49. I tell you what, I'll put a $5 bill in it and ship it back to you. If you just put a note in there, say, hey, I seen this on YouTube, you know, I'll just do that. I'll take $5 off of that. Or you can send me $15 check, which, yeah, that's more than $5. It's a better deal, guys. But I'll put it in the mail to you, and you'll have something to work through in these next few days. So, hey, I appreciate you listening. Hey, if you got some questions, you can put them on my YouTube channel, and it'll give me another idea to put a video out about. So, hey, thanks for watching.